En unos segundos vas a escuchar una conversación entera en inglés entre Martín Álvarez y yo. Martín es dueño de una empresa de construcción aquí en Medellín, Colombia, un emprendedor exitoso, inteligente, gracioso y habla un inglés perfecto sin haber nunca vivido afuera del país. Y además es uno de mis mejores amigos. A medida que pase la conversación voy a hacer pausas y explicar ciertas expresiones, verbos, palabras, etc. que estamos usando en la conversación para que tú los puedas entender mejor. Y lo único que tienes que hacer es relajarte y disfrutar. Vas a tener la opción de activar subtítulos, tanto en español como en inglés, pero mi recomendación es tratar de desafiarte un poco. Empieza a ver con subtítulos en inglés y si hay alguna parte que no entiendes bien, puedes rebobinar y colocar los subtítulos en español. Si te gusta el video, dale like y suscríbete aquí al canal para que no pierdas futuros videos y con ese like también me ayudas a mí en mi visión de un Latinoamérica donde no hay una sola persona que no hable inglés. Espero que estés emocionado. Yo soy Kalle Anders, tu coach de inglés y tu sueco favorito. Empecemos.
Martin, thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate it. Martin, would you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Okay, so my name's Martin Álvarez. I work in a construction company called Cantagirone. I've worked there 10 years ago.
I have worked there for 10 years. Esa es la mejor forma de decir he trabajado ahí durante 10 años. También puedes decir I've been working there for 10 years. He estado trabajando ahí por 10 años.
I've worked there 10 years ago. It's a company owned by my family, so I've been in construction basically all my life.
Cuando Martín dice I've been in construction all my life, está usando una expresión que es muy típico de nativos y es referirse a su industria con una sola palabra: construction, advertising, marketing. I'm in advertising, I'm in marketing, I'm in construction. Quiere decir que estás trabajando en esa industria. Y así se dice nada más. Entonces, si alguien te pregunta, what do you do? ¿Qué haces de trabajo? Y si trabajas en una agencia de marketing, puedes decir simplemente, I'm in marketing.
I've been in construction basically all my life. I remember when I was young, I used to play on the construction sites. It was really dangerous, but you mean.
Yeah.
We're in Colombia, we're not so advanced.
Did you ever play, what's this game? Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Did you ever play? Did you ever play? Recuerda que cuando hacemos preguntas en inglés usamos el verbo auxiliar do. Entonces, si yo quiero preguntar, ¿juegas? Pregunto, do you play? Si quiero preguntar, ¿jugaste? Digo, did you play? Did you ever play Roller Coaster Tycoon? Significa, ¿alguna vez jugaste este juego, Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Did you ever play, what's this game? Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, I was amazing at it as well. I'm a real geek. I played Age of Empires, Roller Coaster Tycoon, The Sims, Sims 2, Zoo Tycoon, Sim City, all of the strategic games.
Cuando Martín dice I'm a real geek, geek es una persona que tiene mucho conocimiento y interés en un tema específicamente, típicamente de tecnología o videojuegos así. También se puede decir nerd, son prácticamente sinónimos, pero se usa más de esta forma como una expresión exagerada.
I'm a real geek. I played Age of Empires, Roller Coaster Tycoon, The Sims, Sims 2, Zoo Tycoon, Sim City, all of the strategic games.
Yeah.
I actually miss them.
Yeah.
Reminisce about them.
I do too.
I reminisce about them. Esto es una expresión muy avanzada que Martín está usando y algo que siempre me impresiona de Martín es su amplio vocabulario sin haber salido a vivir en otro país en su vida. Cuando él dice I reminisce about it sometimes, ese quiere decir recordar viejas historias. Se acuerda de los viejos tiempos cuando él estaba jugando esos videojuegos y le da una sensación de nostalgia.
Reminisce about them.
I do too. I wish they'd just get a game out that's updated, but those old games.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. One thing that I really admire about you. So you're one of my best friends. I'm so glad that I met you here. You've definitely made my life so much better.
You have made my life better. Aquí estamos usando el tiempo gramatical present perfect. You have made. Tú has hecho. You have made my life better. Tú has hecho mi vida mejor. O tú has mejorado mi vida. Uf, empezó muy emocional. Me encanta.
Despite you, and I think that a lot. You've definitely made my life so much better living here in Medellin. What I really admire about you is that despite you, and I think that a lot of people are gonna be really, maybe not shocked, but kind of like surprised by the fact that you have never lived for an extended period of time outside of Colombia. And your English is perfect. That's really cool.
Yeah, so first of all, like, I admire you a lot. Like, I've been here my whole life, and since I met you and the guys, shout out to Tim and Hans.
Shout out. Cuando dices shout out to Tim and Hans. Tim y Hans son nuestros amigos de Suecia que viven aquí también con nosotros. Somos vecinos, todos vivimos aquí en el mismo edificio en Medellín. Por eso siempre nos vemos. Y él dice shout out to Tim and Hans. Shout out es una expresión que quiere decir quiero mencionar, quiero darle crédito y agradecer a estas personas. Hey, shout out to these people as well.
Shout out to Tim and Hans. It's been much better because I'm a social person. I love meeting people. And regarding your question, I think I've learned a lot about you. So before, I thought it was because I studied in an American school here in Colombia.
Yeah.
That we have almost all of our classes in English.
Yeah.
So like we have the basics there.
Yeah.
The grammatics and everything. But as you've taught me and as I've learned.
As you've taught me. ¿Cómo me has enseñado? Taught es el pasado del verbo teach, enseñar. Taught, enseñó. As you have taught me. Y cuando hablamos rápido hacemos contracciones. Entonces decimos as you've en lugar de as you have taught me. Como tú me has enseñado.
As you've taught me and as I've learned from you, and the scientific method, like it's proven, it's all about consumption. Mm-hmm. And I really admire America. So I love Hollywood. I love R&B, rap.
Yeah.
I love Netflix. My phone's in English.
Yeah.
As we talked about before, I've played Roller Coaster Tycoon. That was in English. SimCity, it was in English. And
You've always been immersed in the English language.
¿Escuchas cómo volvemos a usar ese tiempo verbal? You have always been immersed. Siempre has estado inmerso en el idioma inglés. Aquí estamos hablando de la razón por la cual Martín tiene tan bueno inglés. Y él siempre pensó que era porque él estudió en una escuela aquí en Medellín, donde enseñan mucho inglés y donde muchas clases son en inglés. Y luego se dio cuenta que su capacidad de inglés principalmente viene de los miles de horas que él ha invertido consumiendo contenido y videojuegos a través de toda su vida en inglés por propio interés. Y esta es una de las claves del aprendizaje de idiomas, encontrar interés en consumir el idioma. Entonces, encontrar ciertos tipos de contenidos que a ti te gusta, que a ti te interesa, no por el inglés, sino por lo que el contenido es, y llevar cientos o hasta miles de horas consumiéndolo, porque el consumo es la causa del habla, que es el efecto.
You've always been immersed in the English language since you were young.
Yeah, and it's one of the most important things that people don't really think about English is that all the best research material in the world is actually in English.
Yeah.
So if you want to do some research, I don't know, about nutrition.
Yeah.
And you want to be really updated.
Yeah.
It's really different to search cuál es la mejor dieta o la mejor nutrición en este momento. And if you search that, what's the best nutrition strategy for my objectives, you're gonna have two really different materials, and one's gonna be more updated than the other one because basically almost all the most advanced research is in English.
Totalmente de acuerdo con Martín aquí. Él decía que otro motivo que yo tenía para aprender inglés era porque me gusta mucho educarme y aprender de cualquier cosa. Entonces, si tú quieres aprender de nutrición, por ejemplo, vas a encontrar mucho mejor material, contenido y expertos hablando del tema si buscas en inglés. que en español, porque hay muchísimo más material y siempre están más avanzados. Y eso era un gran motivo para él aprender el idioma también.
Is that all the best research material in the world is actually in English.
Yeah.
So if you want to do some research, I don't know, about nutrition,
Yeah.
and you want to be really updated,
Yeah.
it's really different to search cuál es la mejor dieta o la mejor nutrición en este momento. And if you search that, what's the best nutrition strategy for my objectives, you're gonna have two really different materials, and one's gonna be more updated than the other one, because basically almost all the most advanced research is in English.
Yeah. And so that's what you did basically since you were quite young. You consumed English on a regular basis through video games, through movies,
Yeah.
because of a genuine interest,
Yeah,
a curiosity.
and music, and it's all about entertainment.
Yeah.
Because Hollywood like was a pioneer.
Yeah.
The rock music, like you had the Beatles, you had Elvis,
Yeah.
you had a lot of rock bands that were doing their music and taking it worldwide.
Yeah.
Like the term rock star
Yeah.
became famous all around the world, and everyone, like you can ask everyone here in Colombia if they speak English or if they don't, but they know Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
and they love Michael Jackson and they love his music.
Yeah.
And that's basically what's it all about. Like when you don't understand English, you're missing out.
You're missing out. You are missing out. Esa es una expresión para decir estás perdiendo algo. Él está diciendo que cuando no hablas inglés, lo estás perdiendo mucho. Estás perdiendo las oportunidades de interactuar con contenido y con el mundo global y todas las cosas chéveres que existen por ahí afuera de entretenimiento, lo profesional, personal, lo que sea. Y de eso estoy totalmente de acuerdo.
When you don't understand English, you're missing out on the best content and most of what the world has to offer.
Yes. But were you aware of that when you were younger?
Were you aware of that? Were you? Fuiste o eras. Fuiste consciente de esto. Were es el pasado del verbo to be. Entonces, si yo quiero decir estás consciente, digo you are conscious. Si quiero decir estabas consciente o fuiste consciente, digo were you conscious? Were you conscious about that? Were you conscious about the fact? ¿Fuiste consciente del hecho de que estabas perdiendo muchas cosas por no saber inglés y eso fue un motivo para aprender o eso lo descubriste después? Esa fue mi pregunta, Martín, aquí.
But were you aware of that when you were younger? That you were missing out on stuff and that's why you wanted? Or was it just a genuine interest?
Not at all. Like I was raised in an English-speaking school, in an English-speaking household.
Yeah.
And
But your parents never spoke English with you?
No, they didn't. But when we traveled,
Yeah.
we always traveled to America because, so I told you before, I studied in an American school.
Yeah.
My vacations were aligned
Yeah.
with the summer.
Yeah.
Colombian schools, they have a thing that's called A calendar and B calendar.
Yeah.
A calendar basically has its large vacations in December, and they have a shorter vacation span in the summer,
Yeah.
like in June and July. I was B calendar, that was aligned with the States.
The States. Cuando nos referimos a los Estados Unidos, en inglés podemos decir simplemente the States, en lugar de the United States, o en lugar de the United States of America, the States. I'm going to the States for the weekend. Voy a los Estados Unidos por el fin de semana.
That was aligned with the States, so
Yeah.
I always traveled abroad. I did a lot of summer camps.
Yeah.
It helped a lot because I spent like a month
Yeah.
living in a cabin with a lot of not tourists but like other adventurers. I don't know how to call them.
From other countries?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
all of the counselors were American, and the summer camp was in America.
Yeah.
I was actually so invested in video games at one time that when I was 12,
Fue un campamento o un retiro para aprender a crear videojuegos. Cuando tú dices que estás invertido en alguna cosa, no necesariamente tiene que ser con dinero, puede ser con tu tiempo también. I'm really invested in my business. Estoy muy invertido en mi negocio, pero puede significar con mi tiempo, con mi atención, con mi enfoque, no necesariamente con mi dinero. Así se usa esa expresión.
I was actually so invested in video games at one time that when I was 12, I did a video game creating summer camp in New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was really fun. I learned to develop 2D games like Super Mario and all of that.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
I think that's really interesting, the fact that everyone says the same thing, that once you learn English and you become fluent in English, that's when you realize everything you've missed out on previously in your life.
Yeah. Like, we can talk about it with memes.
Meme. ¿Qué es eso? En español decimos memes.
We can talk about it with memes.
Yeah.
Right now, like, most of the memes you see are viral images from, like, I love The Office.
Yeah.
And if Dwight Rainn Wilson is watching this, I love you. Yeah, he's the best. But
he's great.
A lot of those memes come from screenshots of something that's made in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And when you see it in Spanish, it's basically a translation. That's an image, and it has some words attached to it that have nothing to do with the image.
Exactly.
So it's for me, it's all about entertainment. Like, you have Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley es una zona en los Estados Unidos afuera de San Francisco, de donde casi toda la tecnología avanzada proviene. Google, Facebook, muchísimas empresas de tecnología tienen su sede en Silicon Valley. Y eso le fascina mucho a Martín y a mí también. Además de las películas, entretenimiento, también la tecnología. Es un interés personal de nosotros.
Like, you have Silicon Valley, you have Hollywood, and you have all of America creating content.
Yeah.
For all the world. Like, I was talking with Charlie before we entered before we entered the interview.
Yeah.
And she told me something like, I believe the US is the best culture exporting country in the world. Like, we talk about candy, movies, television series, games.
Yeah.
Like, they basically produce everything.
Yeah.
At least here in the Western countries.
Yeah. Did you, when you were learning English, were there any awkward or embarrassing moments that you can recall that?
Were there any awkward mistakes or were there any awkward situations? Nuevamente estamos usando el pasado del verbo to be. Yo puedo preguntar, are there any awkward situations? ¿Hay algunas situaciones incómodas? Pero si quiero hacer esa pregunta en el pasado, digo, were there any awkward situations? ¿Había algunas situaciones incómodas?
Did you, when you were learning English, were there any awkward or embarrassing moments that you can recall that? I mean, in my case, for example, I've made a million mistakes speaking in Spanish, which have been extremely awful.
Yeah.
That have cost, sometimes some of them have even cost me friendships. So, because I imagine it wasn't a smooth ride. Because you started learning English when you were young, like a teenager.
Yeah.
And that's 15, 20 years ago. So what were the challenges that you had learning English with English that was hard for you to get over?
Yeah, so we don't have to say 15, we can leave it at 10. We don't have to
but it's more
hint my age.
But it's
You don't have to hint my age, me dijo. No tienes que revelar o dar una pista a qué es mi edad. To hint es un verbo que significa dar una pista o insinuar en inglés. You don't have to hint my age. No tienes que insinuar mi edad.
We don't have to
but it's more
hint my age.
But it's more impressive if you started at 15 with the English you have now.
Yeah. So, it's still hard. I've been speaking English my whole life, and even though I know what what I'm going to say, sometimes I have trouble pronouncing it, and I've asked you tons of times.
Yeah.
And it's because, like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have much more, we have less sounds than the English speaking language has. So it makes it hard for me, since I haven't lived abroad, to perfect my hearing.
Yeah.
And have like a more neutral accent.
Yeah.
I've actually...
The accent has been the hardest, like the most frustrating thing?
Yeah, because like I love English. I do slang. I watch all of my content in English. Like basically my humor is a copy from most of the series I've watched my whole life.
Yeah.
And I can't, and I have a hard time pronunciating lots of things.
Yeah.
Like, and I've seen it particularly with you, like particularly, like that's an easy word. Like that's a word you learn.
Yeah.
Like it's easy in getting to know it, but it's hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
But I've seen it with you, like when you came here like a year and a half ago, your Spanish was great, but it was Mexican Spanish. Like,
yes,
it sounded more Mexican. Right now it's like more Paisa.
Yeah.
And you can see it with everyone. With someone that travels a lot, you can't really understand where are they from, because their accent starts to mix all over.
Exactly. I think that's super interesting, because so many people who are watching this right now, they would agree, thinking that the most frustrating thing is the accent and the pronunciation. Yeah. And it's just natural that as Latin Americans, you do have not as good pronunciation in general as, for example, a European or someone from, let's say, Denmark learning English, because there's so much, there are way more sounds in the Danish language than in the Spanish language. And in English, there are more sounds as well. So it's more likely that a Danish child growing up has been exposed to those sounds. And so it becomes easier for them to pronounce.
A ver si pudiste entender eso. Martín me decía que su gran problema o su gran vergüenza con el inglés a través de toda su vida era su pronunciación. Y me imagino que muchos de ustedes sienten lo mismo. Y hay una explicación lógica por lo cual los latinos tienden a tener un acento más fuerte en inglés que un europeo, un danés, un sueco, por ejemplo. Y es porque en español hay menos sonidos que hay en sueco, en danés o en alemán, por ejemplo. Y el inglés es un idioma con muchos sonidos también, entonces es mucho más probable de que un niño danés o sueco a lo largo de su vida haya sido expuesto a los mismos sonidos que tienen en el idioma inglés, y el hispanohablante no. Entonces es solo natural que un latino tiene un poquito más dificultades con la pronunciación, justamente porque su idioma nativo no tiene la misma cantidad de sonidos que el inglés. Pero eso no quiere decir que no hay esperanza, porque tú fácilmente, independientemente de tu edad, talento, etc., puedes aprender estos sonidos y dominarlos, y así vas a ser capaz de producir cualquier palabra en inglés de forma correcta con buena pronunciación.
Yeah, and the thing is that the traditional way of learning English, like I saw your course.
Yeah.
And your course has actually a chapter that teaches you those sounds and that you don't actually practice when you're learning English, because basic English courses teach you words and teach you grammar.
Yeah.
But they never emphasize on sounds. So you're never practicing, and you can see it with me. I'm just starting to practice some sounds.
Yeah.
And my pronunciation's getting gradually better.
Yeah.
But
and still you're super fluent and you have a very wide vocabulary.
Yeah, but
it's amazing.
If you don't practice the sounds, you will never have the perfect fluent pronunciation, because I've been speaking English since I was 5.
Yeah.
And I'm 29. I look 22.
Of course.
Yeah.
I am 29, but I look 22. Bueno.
And I'm 29. I look 22. Yeah, but I've never practiced it, because that's the traditional way. Like they never, like I had to meet you when I was 27 for me to realize about the sounds and the practice, because it's all about the tongue. It's hard to explain. Like you can explain it much better than I do, but it's all about that.
Yeah. But what I think is a very important lesson for people to take with them is that it's completely possible to get 100% fluent and with a good vocabulary, have a perfect English, and you don't need to have a perfect pronunciation. I mean, how many benefits have you had in your life thanks to the English that you have?
How many benefits have you had in your life thanks to your English level, or thanks to the English that you have? ¿Cuántos beneficios has tenido en tu vida gracias al inglés que tienes, incluso sin una pronunciación perfecta? Entonces la conclusión es que si nunca aprendes y practicas los sonidos, lo cual es gran parte de mi forma de enseñar inglés, nunca vas a poder neutralizar tu acento. Pero igual es importante no sentirse mal por una pronunciación no perfecta. Y aquí tenemos el mejor ejemplo en Martín. Martín habla con un inglés súper mega fluido, tiene un súper amplio vocabulario, no tiene la mejor pronunciación, pero ha podido disfrutar todos los beneficios que le trae la fluidez en inglés en su vida sin esa pronunciación perfecta. Y es apenas ahora, 22 años después de que empezó a estudiar inglés, que está mejorando su pronunciación. Así que no se preocupen, chicos, por su pronunciación. Entiende que tienen que practicar los sonidos si quieren mejorarla, pero que no es el final del mundo. It's not the end of the world si no tienen una pronunciación perfecta.
How many benefits have you had in your life thanks to the English that you have?
Lots of them.
Yeah.
And actually the pronunciation, sometimes you can be Sofia Vergara.
Exactly.
And make a career out of it.
Exactly.
Because like, I love accents.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about it a lot. Like I like the Argentinian accent.
Yeah.
But it's really fast.
Yeah.
And I'm Paisa and I talk really slow. Like really slow.
Yeah.
And Barranquilleros, they talk really fast as well, and I like their accent.
Yeah.
So it's the accents. Like I'm a competitive guy. Like I like to do things 100%.
Yeah.
So for me, like I want to speak, and when I speak, I want to be as fluent as Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
But it's all about practice.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with traditional learning school English teaching academies, that they don't emphasize the sounds, because if I...
And you, sorry to interrupt you, but you studied at...
Sorry to interrupt you. Buenísima expresión por si quieres decir algo e interrumpir a otra persona cuando habla para decir algo importante. Sorry to interrupt you. Qué pena interrumpir, como decimos en Colombia. Qué pena.
And you, sorry to interrupt you, but you studied at one of Colombia's best schools. Did you?
I would have to say, for me, it's the best in Medellin, Antioquia, and one of the top 5 in Colombia for sure.
Yeah.
But
you still didn't learn English fully in that school?
Well, I learned English fully, but my pronunciation, I never learned how to perfect my pronunciation.
Yeah.
Like they taught us grammar.
Yeah.
They taught us vocabulary.
Yeah.
And we read.
We read. Read es el pasado de read, leer, y se escribe de la misma forma, pero se pronuncia como el color rojo, red. We read, leímos o leíamos. We read, leemos.
And we read, but they never like actually had like a sound class that I believe you interviewed Vicente.
Yeah.
Vicente, he started with me. We've been close friends since we've been little.
Yeah.
Young.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I don't know. And he's a musician. He's a great musician.
Yeah.
So he has a great ear.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really, he's not aware of it, but since he has a more like a trained ear, he's able to pronounce things much better than I do.
Yeah.
But like,
you would beat him at Scrabble.
100%.
You would beat him in Scrabble. Es un juego, estoy seguro que lo tienen en español también, para armar palabras y ganar puntos. I would beat him. Yo le ganaría. ¿Ok? Aquí estamos usando el tiempo verbal condicional. I would beat. Yo ganaría. I would go. Yo iría. I would study. Yo estudiaría. Así es como funciona este tiempo verbal.
You would beat him at Scrabble.
100%. Like if the viewers want, we could do a live Scrabble tournament. Like,
let's do it right now. I actually have a game prepared for you.
Yeah, but
Because I want to prove to you guys that, you know, the fantastic vocabulary and knowledge that you have in English, even though you've never lived abroad in your entire life for an extended period of time.
never.
Yeah. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna play a game called Lost in Translation.
Okay.
It's a very simple game. I want you to explain something that I say. So if I say, if I say this, what do I mean if I say, Martin, break a leg?
Yeah, so that basically means good luck. It comes from the theatrical.
You just have to say what it means.
Okay, it means good. It means good luck.
Okay. You hit the nail on the head with that haircut.
Well, that just means that I look great.
It does.
But I always look great. But if someone that it's not as beautiful as I am, like, they can get it mixed up.
Let's continue the game. If I say, in this group of people, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. What do I mean?
That just means that, like, so that's harder to explain in English. That just means that donde hubo fuego, cenizas quedan. Like, it's like, can I explain in Spanish?
No, but we will make cuts, so don't worry.
Okay. That just means that there's signals, like there's, like, it was predictable for that to happen, because, like, yeah, like when there's smoke, there's basically a fire and you see the smoke first, like, yeah, so that's a hard one.
Yeah, I actually had to Google this myself, and it says that it means that if someone says something bad about another person, so it's typically about gossip.
Yeah.
When you say, if there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
It's about gossip.
Gossip, chisme. Entonces, esta expresión se tiene que ver con chisme.
If there's smoke, there's fire. So it's typically about gossip.
Yeah.
When you say, if there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
It's about gossip. So it typically means that if you say something bad about another person, there's usually some truth to it.
That's what I tried to explain with the predictability.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's hard.
You still knew it though.
Yeah, but it's hard to explain.
What do I mean if I say, you gotta bite the bullet and go to the gym?
Okay, so that just means, like, get your ass off and work. Like, do the work. And if you don't do the work, you won't get the reward.
Yeah. Do it even if you don't want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy for me because I have the definitions here on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fixed game.
It's a fixed game.
It's a fixed game. Es un juego comprado, arreglado, porque yo tengo todas las respuestas en la computadora.
It's a fixed game. Let's say you get a message on Instagram from a guy, and it's a flirty message.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I know that's not your sexual orientation.
Okay.
What do you mean if you respond to him, sorry, you're barking up the wrong tree?
That just means that I'm not into that.
Yeah.
I'm not into that. Es una expresión, quiere decir, no me gusta eso. Eso no me interesa.
That I'm not into that.
Yeah. Exactly. Very good. Next one. I'm not getting that car. It costs an arm and a leg.
It means vale un ojo de la cara. It means that it's way too expensive.
Correct. You really dropped the ball with that comment you made last night.
That means you made a mistake, a huge one.
Very good. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to face the music.
That face the, like, there's a synonym about it as well. It's time to face the Ripper. Have you heard that one?
No, I'm terrible at these.
Yeah,
you're way better.
That just means that you have to be accountable for your mistakes.
Correct. Very good.
It's time to pay the Ripper, the Grim Reaper.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
We'll look it up. Okay. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket.
That just means that you have to have different plans or diversify.
Correct. You gotta diversify. What if I say, oof, it's raining cats and dogs?
Yeah, so it's raining really hard.
Yes, it's raining a lot. Stop stealing my thunder.
It's basically what I'm doing here. No. That just means that like stop outshining me. I don't think.
Correct. He kicked the bucket.
He died.
I didn't expect you were gonna know that one.
Yeah.
That's very good. This last one, beating Martin at FIFA is a piece of cake.
That's just a lie.
What does it mean though?
That means that it's really easy.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
It's the truth.
It isn't. We can do it live as well.
Thank you so much, bro.
Love you, bro. You're the best.
Thank you.
Ok, estamos listos. ¿Qué pensaste? Estuvo cool, ¿no? Esta conversación. Un poquito más personal. De pronto, Martín es un muy buen amigo mío y somos muy competitivos los dos. Entonces siempre competimos quién tiene el mejor inglés, vocabulario, etc. Y siempre me desafía en ese aspecto y me encanta. La verdad, estoy muy impresionado con el nivel de inglés que él ha logrado tener sin haber nunca salido de Colombia a vivir en otro país en su vida. Obviamente sí ha estudiado en una escuela bilingüe, lo cual le ha ayudado mucho. Pero la conclusión, la clave aquí que quiero que ustedes aprendan es la causa del desarrollo lingüístico. Es exposición al idioma, es consumir el idioma. Y no solamente un par de horas a la semana, sino cientos o miles de horas en total para que se pueda traducir a una capacidad de hablar. Y la única forma en que eso pueda suceder es si estás genuinamente interesado en lo que estás consumiendo, para que lo puedas hacer a largo plazo. Mi consejo para ti es, empieza a buscar un poquito en internet, empieza a interesarte por diferentes temas, ten esa curiosidad, porque la curiosidad es muy sobreestimado en el aprendizaje de idiomas. Ahora, ¿qué piensas de este tipo de videos? Cuéntame aquí en los comentarios, por favor, si tienes algunas sugerencias de cómo mejorarlos, qué personas te gustaría que entrevistara de pronto, y no olvides ayudarme con un like y suscríbete al canal. Ahora, si no lo has visto todavía, tenemos una prueba de 2 semanas de mi curso de inglés. Yo enseño inglés a través de historias, repeticiones, oraciones completas, consumo, ¿verdad? Y por eso funciona. Pero no es necesario que confíes en mí y todas mis palabras, porque hemos creado una prueba de 2 semanas para que tú puedas probar el curso y todo lo que viene con él por 2 semanas sin ningún compromiso. Si no te gusta, te devolvemos tu dinero. Voy a poner el enlace para la página de compra aquí abajo en la descripción del video. Ahí puedes ver más información de lo que está incluido, precios, planes de pagos, testimonios y resultados de otros estudiantes y todas nuestras garantías también. Espero que te haya gustado este video. Nos vemos en los siguientes. Chao.